Right now, the most powerful navy in human history depends on one single shipyard to build its most important warships. If that sounds risky, that's because it is. Aircraft carriers are impossible to hide. They're nearly a quarter of a kilometer long, carry entire air wings, and are often visible from space. And that's exactly the point. When a carrier appears near a coastline, it's not just a military asset. It's a political signal, a floating reminder of reach, power, and commitment. But behind that display of dominance is an industrial system that moves painfully slowly and depends on assumptions made decades ago. The U.S. Navy doesn't just operate carriers because they look impressive. They solve a specific problem. Air power normally requires nearby air bases, but allies can hesitate, access can be denied, and airfields can be destroyed. An aircraft carrier brings a mobile airbase anywhere in the world, no permission required. Because of that, U.S. law mandates that the Navy maintain a minimum number of operational carriers at all times. This requirement isn't just strategic, it's written into legislation. And laws don't care about construction delays. Building a modern aircraft carrier is closer to building a small city than a ship. Millions of individual parts, thousands of miles of wiring, nuclear reactors, radar systems, arresting gear, weapons elevators. Each system must work perfectly and then be tested again. Even minor delays cascade. If one subcontractor falls behind, thousands of workers can be left waiting. And this is why carriers aren't just expensive. They're slow. From initial design to first combat deployment, a carrier can take 20 years. That means decisions made today are based on assumptions about the world 2 decades into the future. Technologies change, threats change, governments change. But once construction starts, there's no turning back. You're locked in. Every U.S. supercarrier is built in the same place, not by accident, but by necessity. This shipyard has the nuclear licenses, secure facilities, dry docks, and trained workforce required to handle reactors and classified systems. Creating a second shipyard wouldn't just be expensive. It would require guaranteed work for decades to justify the investment. Without that promise, no private investor would touch it. From the outside, it looks like a textbook monopoly. One buyer, one seller, mandatory demand. But the reality is more complicated. The shipyard must keep thousands of specialized workers employed, even when no carrier is actively being assembled. Skills like nuclear welding can't be paused and restarted. If the work disappears, the workforce disappears, and rebuilding it could take a generation. So the system prioritizes stability over efficiency. A carrier's cost doesn't end at launch. Midway through its life, it undergoes a massive nuclear refueling and modernization process that can take several years. And when the ship finally retires, dismantling it safely takes another decade. From the first steel cut to final scrapping, one carrier can tie up resources for nearly a century. America once dominated commercial shipbuilding. Today, that industry is nearly gone. Labor costs, regulations, and global competition push commercial shipbuilding overseas. But naval shipbuilding can't follow. It's tied to security, secrecy, and nuclear technology. So the Navy was left isolated with shrinking industrial capacity. China went the opposite direction. Instead of separating commercial and military shipbuilding, it combined them. Gigantic shipyards produce container ships, tankers, and warships using the same infrastructure. When military demand slows, commercial orders keep workers busy. When military demand spikes, capacity already exists. Chinese carriers are not yet equal to U.S. supercarriers, but they're improving quickly, and they're being built far faster. In a long conflict, speed matters more than perfection. The uncomfortable truth is that China may not need better ships, just more of them. The U.S. carrier fleet is designed for dominance, not replacement. It assumes ships won't be lost. But history shows that assumptions break first in war, and rebuilding a carrier fleet is not something you can rush. America's aircraft carriers remain unmatched symbols of power, but symbols rely on systems, and systems can fail. The greatest risk isn't a single ship being sunk. It's the inability to replace it fast enough. And that's a problem economics can't ignore. If you want more stories about how economics quietly shapes global power, subscribe. And if you want to know how the U.S. lost its shipbuilding edge in the first place, watch the next video.